everyone's waiting for those details, because the announcement was made yesterday of a massive package, 20 lakh crore rupees. But what are the details? And what are the expectations? Let's bring up our guests this evening. We've got Mr. Anil Bharadwaj, the Secretary General of the Federation of Indian Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. Avik Shah, he's the National Convener of the Jai Kisan Andolan. Mr. Nasir Salim is going to join us in just a short moment. He's a Managing Partner of Flexi Capital. And Dr. D.K. Agarwal, President of the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. We'll begin with you, Mr. Bharadwaj. Your expectations from what is being seen as a massive package. I mean, 20 lakh crores is a huge sum to pledge.
It is a massive package indeed, and besides the amount of package, I think the intention that Prime Minister has shown by giving indications that how the package would look like, and especially his mentioning of reforms, particularly the factor market reforms of land and labor, are also equally important. Yes, I mean, we are looking forward to formation of credit guarantee fund. We are also looking out for the moratoriums. But at the same time, I mean, factor market reforms have certainly kept us viewed, and we would be looking forward to Finance Minister's address today and other details that might emerge in the coming days.
Now, Mr. Bharadwaj, we seem to have got some information as to what could lie in store for the MSME sector. For instance, greater loans, right? And a moratorium for a year on those loans. Do you think this goes pretty much in league with what your demands were?
That's right. It has been in the league, and this is what we have been demanding. But at the same time, what we have been saying is that in the current situation, banks are not very much willing to lend, because the circumstances are also not right. So what we had also suggested is creation of a large credit guarantee fund, and I think this is what is going to come up.
All right, Nasir Salim is also with us. Mr. Salim, I'm going to come back to you in just a short moment. Avik Saha, the expectations of the farmer. See, as far as the economy is concerned, there are three critical arms to the Indian economy. One is services sector, the other is manufacturing sector, and the third is the agricultural sector. By all estimates, it's the agricultural sector which is noticing some form of an uptick, right? Many say that this could in fact even be the harvest of hope. What sort of assistance do you think should come by from the government for the farmers particularly?
I don't know what uptick you're talking about, but there are three basic things that the farmer has needed forever. One is the correct price for his produce. The second is a guaranteed offtake of his produce. And the third is debtlessness, so that he is an independent consuming Indian citizen. These three things have not been addressed historically. It's not that this particular COVID incident is causing it. It has not been addressed for decades. Now, I don't know what this package will contain, but if the experience of the last 50 days is anything to go by, the farming sector has really suffered, because this was the harvesting season for the Rabi crops. With a lockdown, the unimaginable amount of food grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, perishables have been destroyed. The economic, we are still working on the economic figures of this, but to really compensate the farmers and all those associated with primary production of food, it's gargantuan, it's huge.
But Mr. Saha, how would you respond to the government saying that harvesting has gone on as usual? If you listen to the response of the government, they seem to say that the sector least affected because of this lockdown is the agricultural sector.
I'm sorry, but the government does not have connect with ground realities. You can take a survey of any state in India. You can talk to any farmer. Those who have been able to harvest have not been able to market. Most vegetable growers and fruit growers have not been able to harvest. If all the workers, the migrant workers, are wanting to go back, who's going to harvest it? Is harvesting a magic process? If if you are supposed to be locked down and if you are supposed to stay at home, how will you go and operate on the fields? There were delayed relaxations, but believe me, those relaxations were only on paper. It couldn't operate. I mean, I know farmers in my state of West Bengal who had their fields, who watched their fields, their crops just rot because they didn't have the transport connectivity to take it to the market. Those who could, the market was closed or half open. So this was a huge log jam, and I don't know what uptick and I don't know what great the farmers have had.
Okay. Dr. Agarwal, as a representative of the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry of the President, have you suggested anything to the government? What relief should come by in terms of a package from the government for your sector?
Yes, we had made number of suggestions, and some of the suggestions were like, one of the biggest problem which the MSME sector would be facing would be of liquidity. So the banks would give the loan to MSME sector only when they get some kind of guarantee from the government. So maybe we are expecting around 3 lakh crore to be earmarked for providing that guarantee to banks, so that the banks would be giving loan to MSME sector. That is one. Secondly, the salaries, because we had done a survey of around 2,500 companies throughout the country, and the survey list 3 main things which are the main issues which MSME sector would be facing. And you would be surprised to know one of the biggest challenge was the profitability. That is going to be a bigger challenge for them. And why this profitability challenge is coming? Because they have to pay salaries, they have to pay interest for this lockdown period. So one of our demand was that for this lockdown period, either the government reimburses the salary, or also they reimburse, they do waive the charges, interest charges. They make the payment of charges, interest charges to either to the bank or to the MSME. So I think these are the 2 costs which one has to bear even for the lockdown period, which is going to affect his profitability. The other challenge was this working capital, which I said that unless until the government earmarks maybe 3 lakh crore, maybe 5 lakh crore for a dedicated credit guarantee fund, I think that would be one of the biggest thing which this budget, this stimulus package would contain. And a few more things like the moratorium, because the moratorium was done for 3 months, and that too after that there was lockdown was extended by another 1 month.
Now there's every indication that this moratorium period may continue for a year, and that the government also may propose to invest in many of these MSMEs, which means direct government investment in MSMEs. So a lot is in the offing at this moment. A lot has been proposed. Let's see what is going to be announced in about 45 minutes from now. Nasir Salim, very quickly, a lot is being said about the Indian response in the form of a relief package being modelled on the UK model or the United Kingdom model. Would you like to tell our viewers, if you're aware of what this UK model is, what have we adopted?
Sure. So Sanket, I think as far as UK is concerned, they're sitting at about 5% of GDP. They've gone as compared to India. I think India is currently at about 10% if you look at the figures today, which are expected to be announced. But clearly, they're looking at it in a more, in a more segregated manner as against some of the other economies that we see globally, which are in the range of 20 to 30% of GDP. But having said that, I think, I heard broadly all the panelists, Sanket, and here are my quick takeaways on this.
Sure.
I think clearly, Sanket, the way I see this is the government should currently be looking at some recapitalization of banks. See, the biggest challenge, Sanket, has been, as far as the banks are concerned, is that they are risk averse. They are not willing to put money on the table. And therefore, I think recapitalization of banks, NBFCs, certain relaxation of norms on capital adequacy is also very much required today. And that can considerably take up about 4 lakh odd crores. That's the first point. My second quick point is, Sanket, we heard about credit offtake being very poor. I think also, the government should look at limits on PFs and insurance companies, for example, which have exposure to corporate bonds. If we do that, you'll see a lot of money going into the AAA and the AA space, because again, banks are not lending there. And even the money that is being currently parked with banks is being returned back, Sanket, almost to 5 lakh odd crores. So we're sitting on huge amount of liquidity, and unfortunately, so far, on this 7.79 lakh crores which has been put so far in the market by the government and by the RBI, has not seen much of action. And that's the biggest worry, Sanket, in my opinion. The third quick point is, I think, clearly expect about 4 lakh odd crores to support various schemes such as support to households, direct support via the Jan Dhan accounts, and some more for farmers. Direct expansion of the direct beneficiary transfers, I think, is also the need of the hour. And my last quick point is, something needs to be done immediately to providing more in terms of healthcare facilities. I mean, we've heard enough noise about the National Infrastructure Pipeline. We have to have enough measures to boost demand for housing through GST and other concessions. I think a lot of money is going to go in there. And of course, I also feel that coupled with this boost that is expected to come out, be announced today, there should be a reverse repo rate cut expected by at least 100 basis points, Sanket, because that is going to come in with credit guarantees for certain sectors, for example, exporters, right?
Correct.
And if that comes in, you will see some money going in, and that can roughly take about 1 lakh crores.
Okay, so a lot of things that can be done, lots of expectations, lots of suggestions that have also been given to the government. How much can the government actually incorporate? Because if you look at any of these suggestions that are being made, all of them include some sort of a relief from the government. It is absolutely natural for industries to expect, or MSME sector to expect some amount of investment from the central government. Most important question, where is this money going to come from? How is the central government going to factor this in? I'm going to take a short break at this moment. I'll just have to take a quick short break, and we'll come back and maybe accommodate your views once we get to know what the finance minister has in store for us in that 4 p.m. press conference. Thank you very much, Mr. Avik Saha, Anil Bharadwaj, Nasir Salim, as well as Dr. Agarwal. Stopping for a short break at this moment. Be back with a lot more. Stay with us.